It is many years in the future, and Earth has been destroyed by these creepy creatures called the Naytibas, and humans have left the Earth to this off-world colony, and they send down an angel from the heavens, her name is Eve, to go and wipe out these Naytibas and figure out what the hell happened. And that is sort of the premise, I know I butchered it a little bit, for Stellar Blade. But is it a good game? Yes, I have played Stellar Blade for the PlayStation 5. It is an exclusive, at least right now, for the console, made by a developer out of South Korea named Shift Up. And man, you can see from these visuals, it's absolutely gorgeous. They did a really, really nice job at creating awesome enemies that you have to fight and all kinds of really cool destroyed beauty, which is a term that they used to throw at Gears of War back in the day. But it really is just lush and filled with all kinds of incredible detailed, beautiful lighting effects and reflection effects. And there is a nice diversity in the types of environments that you're going to go to. A lot of gray, a lot of brown, because that's the look of rubble. But you'll also be going under the water, and the underwater effects are incredible. And then, of course, you're getting into all kinds of stunning, beautifully animated battles with all of these creatures. And the creature design is really something to behold in this as well. Lots of tentacles and weird jaw shapes, and they'll have giant hammers on their faces and heads, and they'll just be swinging them around. One of them had like this hula hoop thing on them, and there's spikes everywhere. And then there's this kind of weird fusion of bioorganics fused with cyber and robotic kind of functionality as well. So you're going to see really twisted, weird-looking creatures like the Oracle, who is this Oracle who has the ability to kind of see beyond his reality and is just interconnected, and all you have to do is put a memory stick into his palm and he can tell you things. It's pretty trippy, but he's connected with all of this wiring and cabling and everything. Lots of really ornate thought and really fantastic design and production work went into building the visuals of this game, and it really stands out. And chief among the standouts is Eve as a character model herself. It's a beautiful model, and she wears all kinds of really skimpy, revealing outfits. You're staring at her butt for a big chunk of the game. I don't really have a problem with that. It's a nice butt, and she can swing around like crazy and do all kinds of insane athletic acrobatics as she's hacking and slashing and shooting her way through many, many bad guys. I couldn't really fault the visuals. It makes a great impression visually. It's stunning to behold. I also was blown away by the audio production in this game, which really doubles down and commits to singing through most of the game. I mean, there's a nice variety in the types of songs and the types of music that you're going to hear. It's also very different from a lot of video games out there. There's a lot of loungy stuff. One of the things that you have to do in this game is you unlock these camps everywhere, and it just sort of mellows out for a little bit, and Eve can take a break and sit down and kind of savor progress, because this is a game that fuses hack and slash action adventure like a Bayonetta game or a Devil May Cry game with a Souls-like kind of quality as well, because there is this run kind of perspective to this. Every time you save and rest, you are also reloading all of the bad guys, so they'll come back if you want to go and find every single memory card and all of the little collectibles that exist and are populated throughout this world. And that was fine. I thought all of that was cool, but the music was really impressive, because we'd have these chill kind of lounge songs, and then it would sort of get into this sort of more poppy kind of stuff, and then some of the bosses would pull out just like hardcore heavy metal music as well. And so there's this nice blending of chill and sort of melodic and soothing, and sometimes it would be pretty chill when you're getting into exploration, and then things would amp up and escalate, of course, when you get into some pretty heavy-duty combat. And I honestly was really appreciative of the entire aesthetics of this experience. It's like, yeah, man, they put some real thought, some real intelligent creativity went into this. Also clearly influenced by things like Metal Gear Solid and a lot of the cyberpunk aesthetic as well. There's Blade Runner kind of things in here. Of course, you can't build in this science fiction world world without looking at the tent poles out there. And so you see little echoes of things that you've seen before. I definitely saw a little Bayonetta as well in the way that Eve moves and the way that she doles out some of the damage in the game. But when it came to gameplay, some of those connections and memories and comparisons that I was making as I was playing, it made me realize that I've played better variations on this theme in the past. I preferred playing Devil May Cry. I preferred playing the Bayonetta games. I preferred some of Sony's first-party stuff as well. I mean, this doesn't hold a candle to the best that Sony Santa Monica has made with the God of War games, or Naughty Dog with their titles, or anything that Insomniac has put out recently for the PlayStation 5. And those are some pretty high bars to hit, and we're talking about some of the best video games ever made. And so I kind of had to, in my mind, rationalize that this is a new studio made with people that have some experience in the industry for sure, but this is their first game, and it's impressive as hell that this is a first game. It does feel like a first game, though. It doesn't feel like it's fully matured into its concepts, and the storytelling is decent. I mean, you're playing a character named Eve, and she meets another character named Adam in this destroyed environment, so it doesn't really take any huge creative leaps that way, and some of the dialogue between the characters is a little routine and familiar and not especially interesting. A lot of the NPCs that you'll meet in this city called Zion, they're just kind of just hanging out, you know? They don't really look like they've got a purpose. You're not walking into Night City, let's put it that way. And even the enemy types and the AI that you're going to fight as well, they don't look especially intelligent. They're there, they're going to be great fodder to get into fights with, they're going to be a lot of fun, and there are a couple of difficulty settings which I appreciated because I had it on sort of the regular mode, and I got a big chunk of the way into the game, but then I started having a little trouble with bosses, so I knocked it down a little bit, and I still found that kind of a good fit for me. It was still plenty challenging, especially in the boss fights, but I was progressing into the story. They call it a story mode, but it's still got some challenge to it. But I really wasn't engaged fully by the narrative that was being put together for me. Interesting characters, great designs, they just didn't have a lot of interesting things to say. And that includes a lot of the bio-cybernetic organisms that you're going to meet as you traipse across the deserts and the ruins and the rubble of this decimated Earth. And I thought that was a little bit of a drop ball, but I also saw that this was the beginning and the creation of a brand new intellectual property that could really flourish. There is a lot of mystery built into the design and the artistry of this experience, and there's a lot to mine there if this game does well enough that Sony deems it worthy of investing in a sequel, or if Shift Up decides that they're going to go it alone. And I really want that to happen because this is a really, really solid debut title from a studio with cool technology. It's fun, tried and true gameplay. It might not be as organically entertaining as something from a Platinum Games or a Sony Santa Monica, which has had years and years of experience of really tuning the sticks so it just feels beautiful. I mean, you can do all the usual things. You can dodge at the last minute and slow down time. You can parry, you can block, and you have to use all of those skills. And then there's this beta power tree that you can build up that gives you awesome other moves, and then there's burst power moves, and then there's another tier. You're basically unlocking tiers and tiers of ability as you get deeper into the game, which is all cool. I just didn't feel that same kind of fluid motion and fluid connection to the combat that I would get out of something like from Software or something like that. The challenge is there. There are a lot of cool move sets to master and to feel like a total badass Eve. And there's a lot of different ways to customize your character as well. Lots of outfits that you can pick up and accessories that you can pick up and armor sort of plating and things that you can pick up. And there's a whole sort of power-up tree that you can fill out as you go. And there's a lot of areas to explore and side missions to go on. This is actually a meaty experience. There was a hefty investment in this, and I think technically it's a really solid debut. I kind of think of what Stellar Blade 2 or possibly 3 could look like. And I want that to happen. I really do, because there's enough cool stuff here that it should go that way. But I don't know if this game, in this hyper-competitive market where a lot of these old classic experiences, these old classic action adventures are still viable and vital and still super fun to play, and people are still just discovering a lot of those old classic games, if this exists in that world and really revolutionizes it. I don't think it does, but it's still very fun. And I know people are going to be asking about Rise of the Ronin, which is a recent Sony published game for the PlayStation 5. I have to admit, I had more fun with that game. There was again, a little bit more experience in the way they doled out the mission structure, and the combat was a little bit more enjoyable. And I love that world in Rise of the Ronin. But I also do love the world of Stellar Blade. It just didn't rock my world in the play of it. You know what I mean? I've just played a lot of really awesome action-adventure games, a lot of hacking and slashing out there that's been a little bit more fulfilling. Still, I think if this game looks interesting to you and you are looking for a new experience for your PlayStation 5, you're going to find a lot of fun in Stellar Blade. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.